Today we're going to be cooking chicken tikka, spicy onions to go with it, and chicken tikka masala sauce. Okay, let's get started. What we're going to need is some chicken breast. I've got about 500 grams here that I've cut into cubes. Going to need about 100 grams of plain yogurt, any brand will do. You're going to need some chili pepper, some smoked paprika, some garam masala, some cumin, and salt and pepper. And then you're going to need some kind of freezer bag that we will put this in to marinate as it sits in the fridge overnight. Okay, so let's add our spice. Starting off with the chili. Really only want about 1/4 teaspoonful. This is not a particularly spicy dish, it just adds a little bit of flavour. Smoked paprika, gonna want a heaped teaspoonful. Garam masala, also a heaped teaspoonful. And the same again for the cumin. What to do is just stir the meat around until the spices cover it. Just spend a couple of minutes stirring this round so that it picks up all of the spices. Okay, then we're going to add a pinch of salt and a few turns of black pepper. And again, we just turn the meat around until it's all covered. Okay, can now set that to one side. What I've got here is a Pyrex jug with the freezer bag in it. So then we can spoon the yogurt in to the bag. And then we can add the meat into the bag. Like that. Then what we want to do is lift the bag out and get rid of most of the air. And then we can tie that off. Just something like that. And as you can see, we can now massage that in the bag, mixing up all the spices on the meat with the yogurt. Give everything a really good coating. Need to leave this for about 3 to 4 hours minimum really for the meat to pick up all of the flavour. But I'm going to be leaving this overnight. So what I'll do is I'll pop this in the fridge. When I get up in the morning, I'll repeat this process just to give it a mix round, and then I'll be cooking this for lunch tomorrow. Okay, that meat's been in the fridge overnight. So all I've done is taken it out, cut the top of the bag off, cut the knot off with a pair of scissors, and open the edges of the bag over the jug that I stored them in. What we're going to do now is add them to some skewers for cooking. I'm using metal ones today. If you don't have metal ones and you have wooden ones, just soak them in water about an hour before you use them. That should reduce the amount they burn. If you don't have skewers, you can always cook this in a dry frying pan. Just drop the meat in well spaced out and turn it over with a pair of tongs. Okay, let's start threading this on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the skewers over a roasting tin once they're full. That way the meat's not touching anything, so it won't stick to anything when we cook it. We won't need to turn it because the air can circulate all the way around. So I'll just pop the rest of these on. Okay, they're all resting over the roasting tray, ready for cooking. Just going to give my hands a quick wash. Now these are going to need to go into a preheated oven at about 180 degrees for 10 to 20 minutes, depending on the size of the pieces of chicken that you've used. Obviously, if you've used significantly bigger pieces of chicken, you'll need to adjust your cooking time upwards, maybe as long as 30 minutes. Okay, while the chicken is cooking, we can prepare some onions to go with it. So we're going to need a fairly large onion, a couple of cloves of garlic, some chili powder, some garam masala, some smoked paprika, and we're going to need a little olive oil. So I'll just start by chopping up the onion. Okay, we're going to want the onion in fairly large pieces. So if we cut through to the centre, then cut a piece off of the side, which we can slice and use as well. That now gives us a flat spot for the onion to sit on. And because we've cut through to the centre, we're going to end up with nice long pieces once it's cooked down. So I'll just chop the rest of that. As you can see, we have some nice long pieces of onion. So if we just break all of that up, then we're going to need a couple of cloves of garlic. I'm using fresh and I'm using a garlic press. Just pop the garlic in, fold it over, give it a squeeze straight into the pan, and that's it. Easy as that, and then you just take the skins out. Into the pan, going to add a little amount of olive oil, maybe about 30 millilitres. You want to go in with some chili powder. We don't want too much of this. This is not a hot spicy dish, but the onions are typically more spicy than the chicken tikka itself. So I'd probably go in with about half a teaspoon. If you like your food hotter, add a bit more. You can add some garam masala, about a flat teaspoonful, and some smoked paprika. And I'm going to use about a heaped teaspoonful. And what we can do, pop those onions into the pan. And head over to the hob to get those cooked. Okay, we can put the gas on, the hob on, about a medium heat really. You don't want to be too hot. It's going to take a little while to cook these through. What you want to do is move them all around, get the oil and spice on all the pieces of onion, just to make sure that flavour is well mixed in. As you can see already, they're starting to change colour as the spice starts to stick, and to break up any clumps that we have from the centre of the onion. So once they're all nicely coated, flatten them down into the bottom of the pan and add a little more heat. And then we're going to let those cook for about 5 to 6 minutes, stirring them every minute or so. Okay, they've had about 6 minutes and I've been stirring them every minute or so, and they've softened up lovely. Fantastic smell, and they're going to have a great flavour. So we can now take those over to the table and ready to serve with the chicken when it comes out of the oven. If you start cooking your onions in about the last 10 minutes of your cooking time for the chicken, then they should both be ready at the same time. Okay, these are fresh out of the oven. They've had just over 15 minutes at 180 degrees. So let's serve up a little bit of onion. And serve up some of the tikka. So there we have it, chicken tikka with spiced onions. So with the rest of the tikka, I'm going to actually make up a chicken tikka masala and make up a masala sauce. So I'm just going to clear the worktop down and then I'll show you how to make that masala sauce. Okay, to make a masala sauce to go with the chicken tikka, I'm going to need a couple of cloves of garlic, about 150 grams of ground almonds. You can use ground cashew nuts, that's absolutely fine. You're going to need the remaining chicken tikka that we've cooked from the other dish, which I think is about 300 grams. Going to need some chili powder, some smoked paprika, and about 500 grams of tomato passata. Okay, let's start off by getting the garlic in. Just put the cloves into a garlic press. Give that a squeeze. That's the easiest way to peel fresh garlic. Okay, then we're going to add some chili powder, but this is not a particularly hot dish, so we don't want a lot. Probably about a generous ½ teaspoon. Then smoked paprika, because this has a bit of a smoky taste and also adds to the colour. So we're going to want a heaped teaspoonful. We pop the chicken in and the ground almonds in, and then in with the passata. And then we're going to give that a mix up. Now I've kept the passata container because I'm going to give that a rinse through, and we may need to add a little bit more water as we start to cook the dish. So I'm going to move on over to the hob and we'll cook it through. Okay, what I'm going to do is get this on a low heat and then just warm through what we've got in the pan. Mixing all the time to get those spices nicely combined with the passata. As you can see, that's quite a thick paste, so I held back the passata container and I've just rinsed that through with some cold water, and I'm going to add a little more. Chicken tikka masala is traditionally quite a thin runny dish, but we don't want to add too much liquid because we're just going to dilute the flavour. So we do it a little bit at a time until we get what we're looking for. probably going to end up adding about another 100 millilitres of water. Okay, I'm going to continue warming this through and adding a little liquid as needed, and then stirring it about every minute or so. We'll keep it on the heat for about 5 or 6 minutes. And there we are, you can see that that's now a nice creamy sauce. I've added probably 100 millilitres, maybe slightly more of the water, just by rinsing through the passata container and adding that last bit of colour and tomato flavouring. If you want to go a little thinner, just add a little more water. If you were cooking the chicken into this dish with the chicken cold, you're going to want a couple more minutes of cooking time to warm it through. But as the chicken went in here warm, this is now ready to serve. So let's take this back over to the table and I'll serve some up. Okay, there we have it. That's the finished item. So a nice, creamy, thin sauce with the chicken tikka in it. So let's serve some up and take a look. There we go, quick and easy, homemade chicken tikka masala. If you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, perhaps you'd like to give it a thumbs up. Maybe consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell so you'll get alerts when I release future videos. Thanks for watching.